I think sometimes the biggest challenge as a speaker is finding sources. See, remember we talked about the four characteristics of a speaker. Remember that they need to be, remember that they need to be, they need to be relatable or sociable. They need to be trustworthy, credible, and energetic. I think we got some better energy from the group, and y'all are doing so much better in controlling and managing, except Chadrick. No, just kidding. See, it's about managing that anxiety. So the thing we need to talk about is finding and evaluating sources. So we talked about and finding a topic, narrowing it down. Now that we picked out the topic and we've analyzed our audience and we have our speaker skills or practice or whatever, okay, it's time to find stuff. Now, the easiest way to find stuff is what? Oh, yeah, through Google. Google is not a source. Google is a search engine. Google is like Match.com, where you find somebody or something, or Grindr or Farmers.com or whatever you use to find somebody to date. It is just a search engine. It is not the all-knowing source. Now, there's several places we can find sources, and Google or Bing or Yahoo search are great starts. But the problem is, how can you tell what's a good site? Because the one thing that we've always been told is that Wikipedia is unreliable. I mean, the English teachers say it, everybody says Wikipedia, don't use Wikipedia. Do not cite Wikipedia. But I'm going to show you something. So, say we're looking for lizards. Guess what? First thing pops up, Wikipedia. Because see, somebody wrote this. And of course, nobody knows. They made this up, actually. I mean, like lizards. See, those are lizards. Most lizards are quadrupedal, running with a strong side-to-side motion. Others are legless, and some have snake-like bodies. Some, such as the forest-dwelling Draco lizard, wait, see, here's the thing. Somebody just made all this up about, a Draco, really a Draco wizard. Now, there is no such thing. You know what, though? These are common knowledge things. Everybody knows what lizards. People aren't making this up. Now, as you're looking at these and you're thinking, wait, if you want to find out about lizards, it's a great start. But look at this, the Spirula, whatever that is. What the heck? But it tells us, oh, look, the minute gecko is the smallest. Okay, I don't know what that means, 10 feet. Minute gecko matches the smallest reptile record. So look, if we want to find about it, we can click on this link right here, and that will take us to the minute gecko. Now, when you're doing it, you're going to cite Hazel Muir in The New Scientist. Now, here's the thing. Is The New Scientist a credible source of information? Well, you have to think about what The New Scientist is. And what is The New Scientist? The New Scientist does news. This is not the news of The New Scientist. That's how they make the money. But what you can do is you can kind of look right here at the bottom. It says, about us. See, New Scientist, yes, I don't want to, is the world's most popular weekly science and technology magazine. It has been around since 1956. Y'all, it's been around longer than Playboy. So it's been there. But see, you can find out who's who. And the other thing, you need to say, well, who are they? Who are these people who are writing? And you can find out who they are, and you, oh, look, publishing, commercial, marketing, but you can find out who all these people are, and pretty much, like, we could go chief executive Nina Wright, or Nina Wright, I'm not really sure. So who is Nina Wright? Oh, look, we'll just go Nina Wright, or Nina. I know people with both names. Check this out. Images for Nina Wright. Oh, look, it's Wikipedia, or actually Google Books. Somebody made this up. But if we want to look at it, it will tell us that Nina Wright is the author of the series. And so she's an author. She knows about writing. So she can kind of figure out, and she's the chief executive in making sure things are going right. See, so is the New Scientist probably something good? Well, because they're reporting on it. It's like, what? There's all this junk too that, well, maybe, that's the thing. So if you like Jesus type stuff, oh my gosh, there's a great source of information called the Babylon Bee. The Babylon Bee gives us the latest in Bible experts determined Goliath did not actually was killed, but he died of COVID. That's right, he died of the COVID. And it says, though he did have severe head trauma and neck problems, his death is being counted as an early form of COVID. Who knew? No wonder nobody wanted to mess with the Philistines. Now, of course, here's the deal. If you don't know about it, go to the About Us, and it tells you the Babylon Bee is the world's best satire site. We write about Christian stuff, political stuff, and everyday life. It was created on the 8th day of creation, exactly 6,000 years ago. See, and that's the thing. Unlike other satire stuff, 100% of what we post is true. You have to consider the source. Now, if you're using this to cite, do not cite Babylon Bee, but if you're saying, hey, this is so important, this is something, even if Babylon Bee is saying something about it, it's probably happened in pop culture, and it's something to look into. So is the Babylon Bee a credible source? No. It's funny, but it's not credible. And so as we're going through that, these are things you have to make sure you're doing. Wikipedia, trust but verify, which we talked about. New Scientist, yeah, that becomes a credible source. That becomes something you can do. The other thing we got to think about is, we have the library sources, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't use the UHV library, but I should. So if you go to UHV library, y'all know how to do all this. But the fact is that, hey, now we have our databases, we have all this that we can go to. Look, and it has all these. I just usually academic search complete. That makes it so much easier. I'm going to log in. Do not crowd my login. Okay, maybe it'll work. And we want to find out about lizards. Oh, lizards and their love language. And now we have peer-reviewed articles. Peer-reviewed articles are interesting. They can be interesting. But the challenge with peer-reviewed articles is what I'm finding is it's the same people review it and the same people get published. They don't have a lot of. Some magazines do not accept certain things. And because of that, they may not have the best and newest of research. So, yeah, we say peer-reviewed, but just because it's peer-reviewed may not make it the best for your speed. Like I said, going back to our auto mechanic, changing oil. Changing oil example, Joe Bob the mechanic is probably more credible than a peer-reviewed article about changing oil. Also, too, let's see, one of the things, trade magazines. So, professor that I was a great mentor, he's the chief executive officer of Go International. It does a lot of international works with people who are doing study abroad programs and people going overseas to work. Now, Justin Felton, Dr. Justin Felton, he taught me something that he was raising cows. And so he looked at communication and marketing within cattle companies. And he published what he did in a trade journal. I think in the Texas or the Beef Masters or something like that. But he published it in there. Is he credible? As a researcher, yeah. As a cattle owner, yeah. Because he was talking about communication. See, and so you can look at these things, and so trade journals, if I ever published, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be one of these top tier journals. It's going to be in the Journal of Emergency Medical Services because it goes to more people. And it has a trade journal, kind of like the American Journal of Nursing, the AGN or AJN or whatever. Those are things that reach the people better than a peer-reviewed article. And when we do that, we think about those sources and we critically look at where they're from. And these are great from the whatever. Now, one last thing that you may not have heard about, Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a great source of information. Just look at this. We found 300,000 articles about lizards. Now, of course, over here, if you look in the side, this is what's so good about it, is that, let's see, we need to go down just, they have these 302,000. Let's see, we can do on the year, anytime. There have been 5,540 things about lizards. Now, we might want a specific lizard. Let's see. Say we want to do paramedic and mental health. Look at that. Since 2000, this year, there's been 1,000 studies. But if you think about this year, there's 48,000, almost 50,000 on breast cancer. This is interesting because as a researcher, what are the odds that somebody's done something from doing breast cancer? There's a bajillion studies about breast cancer, which I think is interesting because Kelly Preston just found out this morning or yesterday, she died from breast cancer that she's been battling for 2 years. And yet, even with all the research they're doing, they still don't have an answer. We're talking billions and billions of dollars that's gone to breast cancer research. They ain't found that shit. Interesting. Yet, Doodly Squat has been done about EMS and mental health, and they're decreasing the number of suicides. They're increasing longevity in the field, where it was 20 years ago, whenever I started, about 7, almost 8 years, it had dropped down to about 4.5, 5. It's now starting to pick up because there's changes. With Doodly Squat and research, or Doodly Squat and money. Think about it. 50,000 ain't shit been done. 1,000 and things are changing. Interesting, right? I don't know. It is what it is. But Google Scholar allows you to see the peer-reviewed articles and access them easier. Because if you look at, no, it's not sharing. As we share this, if you look over here, this says, check this out. It says that the PDF is available. For you, that's great because now you're not having to, this is the England Journal of something, something, something. And check this out. It pulls up the PDF. Possibly. They're in England. They may be asleep now. So it pulls up the portable document format, and so that you actually have the source that you can cite right now. Cool. And this is kind of how you look. So we have it. And you can read all 12 pages if you want to. And that's what is useful to you. Kitty cat. No. Thank you. I thought it was going to get through the recording without an interruption. She did. But those are how you find those sources. Because that's going to help you make more credible. So, I think part of your assignment next week, is annotated bibliography. It's in module 4 or 5. It's going to tell you what you need to do, how you can do it better. But the thing is you need to find those sources for this speech. For the informative speech, you have to cite sources. You have to cite credible sources. You have to cite, well, you have to cite those things that will help you remain credible. That's how you do it. And then in your speech, when you're doing it, in your presentations, you can say, you know, according to so-and-so, don't say blah, 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 Smith & Wesson 2012. That is not a citation. That's horrible writing. Find a way to put it in there. You know, the authors of the Fast Stop Your One Stop dailies say the 44-ounce mug cannot fall and not get broken. I'm not gonna lie, I can't. My mug broke because I dropped it. But the Dr. Pepper's still cold. I don't care. Find a way to cite it so people can follow what you're doing. When you do that, you will be a better speaker. Love you, bye.